Peace and love, guys. How you doing today? Today what we're going to be doing is a little interesting. One of the people who commented on the last video that I put up is actually doing a senior project on meditation. And so he actually asked to interview me and basically ask me a couple of questions on my history and everything that has to do with meditation. And I thought that it would be good to put it in video form. His first question is, what made you start meditating? And it's actually a pretty funny story. I needed to write a persuasive paper on something back when I was in high school last December, and I actually ended up I decided to write on meditation for some reason, and so I was going to write this big persuasive paper on why you should meditate, and then I realized that I knew nothing about it. So of course, if I'm going to write the paper, I had to research it and do it properly. The more I looked into it, the more I realized, it was great for stress. It opened up your eyes. It just really helped you connect with people on a more deeper level. And I realized that this was absolutely something that I was drawn to. And from the moment I found out what it was, I just kind of felt this urge to do it. I've been meditating. So I learned about it last December. The next question is, how long have you been meditating? And so it's been all more than a year. I started last December, so that's a year. Then December, February, January, February, March, a year and 3 months, and starting somewhere about halfway through December, I started meditating pretty much every day. So I decided that if I was going to do it, I was going to make it a discipline. And so I've done it pretty much every single day since then, aside from if I was sick or if I had some kind of big issue that was preventing me from doing it. How did the third question is, how did I turn it into a habit? And for me, it just took a little bit of effort because I realized it was something really good for me, and I looked into the benefits and how incredible it can be for you, and I just realized that it really felt like I was being called to do it. I don't know how else to explain it. So I told myself I was going to do it every day, and I think for the first couple of weeks, I would do it a couple of days, then I'd forget, and then I'd do it a couple of days, and then I'd forget. And then I just kind of really instilled it in myself that this was something every single day I had to make it happen. And then I just kind of built it up from there. So the next question is, how do you meditate? When and where? And I meditate usually in my room. I'll be going into talking about good posture with meditation, but generally I just use 2 pillows because it's cheap for one, and it's really good for your back, because one of the most important things when you're meditating is making sure that your back's in alignment, because otherwise you're going to give yourself back problems. You're going to have all these issues, right? Then when? So I used to do it only once a day, and then recently, for the past month or so, I've been doing 2 meditations, one when I wake up and then one before I go to sleep, and I'm liking that a lot more. And how I meditate, that's a wide question. There's a lot of different meditation styles. There are 3 specifically that I practice and that I get deep into, and they're called shamatha meditation, vipassana meditation, and metta meditation. And I'll go deeper into what those are in future videos. The next question is, what are your beliefs in meditation? That's a weird question. Meditation itself isn't religious. You can attach religious connotations to it. There are Christian meditations, there are Hindu meditations, there are all of these things, but the practice itself is completely it's kind of like psychotherapy, I guess, is the best way I would describe it. But it's really good at helping you understand yourself and understand how you connect with other people, right? what benefits have I encountered from meditation? I've opened up a lot, honestly. Like, I used to be a lot more shy and a lot more disconnected from people than I am now. And the more I meditated, the more I started having these little, I like to call them realizations, where I would realize that I was holding myself back in some area because I was afraid to be who I was, right? Because there's this big vulnerability that a lot of people have when it comes to it's one thing to talk to someone and not connect and not show who you are, right? Because if you play a role, then it's nice and easy, but it's not genuine, right? The biggest issue with being genuine is the fact that you have to be vulnerable, because when you put yourself up in front of another person, right, you're inviting that person to be able to judge you, right? And that was something that I struggled with for a while, and I still struggle with it today, but I've released a lot of the fears that I had about it through my meditations. The next question is what would I describe as my motivations for meditating? That's another really deep question. I meditate because I want to know myself better, and I want to improve myself as much as possible, because the more that I can improve myself, the better I can help other people. And so I meditate as like daily self-development in order to further understand who I am and how I can use my strengths to help other people. Because everything that you do going outwards starts on the inside. It starts in your mind, and it starts in your emotions and your heart, right? And if you aren't in a good place on the inside, then that's going to get reflected on the outside. And that's no way to be, right? What insights can I give you into the history of meditation? That's another really deep question. And I keep saying that, but meditation goes back thousands and thousands of years. Like, even the earliest texts that we have don't even go back as far as meditation, because it was, in India at least, it was an oral tradition far long before the Vedas and all of those scriptures were ever written down. But the style of meditation that I've learned the most from is called the Theravada, Theravada school of meditation. And that's the original school of Buddhism, coming from Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. And his forms of meditation differed from Hindu meditations in that they were looking for a different sort of liberation and nirvana than the Hindus were. But again, that's something I can get deeper into in another video. Next question is, have I ever tended a bonsai tree? No? That's very interesting. So I know that that's something that people do in the Zen style a lot, but I don't really think that that has anything to do with meditation itself. That's more an outward practice that people do in order to care for another small creature and kind of increase gratitude and awareness of our like strength and power. And then, did anybody ever guide me into meditation? Yes. So after when I started out, I was teaching myself a lot of the different. I was going into the Theravada books and just learning from the different styles and practices within that school. But then I connected with some Hindu monks and also some Theravadan monks, and they each gave me their own meditations and practices to learn from. And so I've learned a lot from going and asking them questions as well, and learning more about what it is that I can do to incorporate proper techniques and skills into my practice. The next question is, do I identify with a particular Eastern religion? The answer is no. My view is that when you connect yourself with an institution, you start to gain this feeling of I am right and you are wrong. And I don't believe that we have the authority to ever make that decision. And so I prefer to learn from all of the different sources and perspectives that I can. Because realistically, aside from the geniuses and those with defects, like, we're all as intelligent as each other, and we're all philosophers in one way or the other. And we're all trying to understand. So I feel like the more that you learn from, the more that you can, the better understanding you have of the world and how you connect with it. And then his last question is, who are famous meditation supporters that I admire? Well, the people that I admire, they aren't exactly famous, right? I'm of course there's the Buddha and Gandhi and the Dalai Lama, but the people that I really admire are the people that have taught me, and the people that have that are further and have understood more than I do, and have really given me the ability to go deeper into understanding and getting closer to that liberation or nirvana, right? And that's the end of all the questions. So thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content, and peace and love, beauties.